Hi, this is Bruce Hanna with cgspeed.com, and what we're going to do here is a fairly quick video tutorial on how to use the new DAZ-friendly BVH release of the Carnegie Mellon motion files with some of the DAZ Studio characters. So let's get started here. As you can see, I've actually started up here in the web browser. Once in a while, people wonder where to actually find these BVH files. Though if you found this video, you have probably found the files, but that's okay. You can see I've started here at cgspeed.com, which is just a little site that I maintain. And then you can go up, look for the nav tab here on left, and just click on motion capture. And then you're in the motion capture section, and you can see the main BVH conversions that I've done are listed here. The DAZ-friendly release is not actually listed, but by the time you see this video, I'll have a link here. You can actually find it even today, even if you go down towards the bottom, and you can see I've got the link DAZ-friendly BVH release. And here are all the files. So these files have been retargeted through Motion Builder to make them work really well with the DAZ 3rd generation and 4th generation characters. So that includes things like Victoria 3 and 4, Ico 3 and 4, David 3, and so on. So you can see there's a bunch of zip files. It's just simple zip files up through a free file sharing system. And you generally want the primary release. So start here, download these, and you can unzip them. You may need the secondary release. You probably don't. These are an unhip corrected version. Which Motion Builder's actually got a bug in it. Once in a while it outputs bad hip values, so the main values are, the main BVH files are the corrected versions. These are the uncorrected versions. We will actually, in this video tutorial, I'll give you an example of when you might need to use these uncorrected versions, but for the moment you generally want to just start with the primary release. Okay, so enough with the website. Let's actually have some fun and start animating some stuff. Let's pull up our friend DAZ Studio here, and you can see I've already got the Load tab up here selected, so you don't want to start in the Pose Animate tab. Go over to Load, and for simplicity, let's just drag in Ico 3 LE, the light version here, which is going to be pretty simple to work with, but you could of course drag in any DAZ character that you want. You can see I'm getting this pop-up warning message from DAZ. It doesn't like the default poses of Ico 3 LE, and just click Turn Off Limits if you actually get this box. You don't want to actually leave in any joint limits because we're about to apply a BVH file. Okay, so let's get a little bit of camera motion around here. There's Ico 3, and you can, by the way, I have gone ahead and preset the render settings here to widescreen 16:9 and a 1280 by 720 resolution. That's not the default in DAZ. You don't have to set it that way, but this will make us a nice 720p video when we actually output this data. So this is a really nice format for uploading these days to web video hosting sites like Vimeo or YouTube and so on. Okay, so we'll come back to this, the render settings screen, in just a bit when we actually render out the video. For the moment, I'll cancel that, just showing we've set it to 1280 by 720. And let's get some BVH action going here. So I'm going to go up to Scene, and you make sure that the character is actually selected, not a problem. Ico 3 is selected, and really simple. We're just going to do File, Import, and I already happen to have the directory pre-selected that I need, so you can see I've downloaded the full Ico 3 Carnegie Motions 2010 release, and we are going to look at, we need directory 94, which is where we are. I'm just going to click on one of these files and open, and then we will, let's see, the BVH importer is giving us a quick dialog, and usually you can just take the defaults, just say adjust scene to match the file, and accept. And you can see off here on the right, off we go. This is actually quite a lot of keyframes. It's done, the original captures were done at 120 frames per second. I have preserved that in the conversion. You of course normally do not want to render out at 120 FPS, and we'll downscale that in just a bit once it's got the frames. But I think this is a good 40 seconds or so of dancing, and at 120 FPS it's quite a few keyframes. But thankfully DAZ Studio 3 can handle it, and it's going pretty fast with that import. Okay, great. So it's loaded those, and I need to make sure I go up here to pose animate mode. And I'll pull out my camera a little bit so we can see what's going on there. Okay, and so you can see over here on the right, we've got the timeline selected. It's pulled in over 5,000 keyframes, and the FPS, DAZ was smart enough to read that BVH file and understand it's 120 frames per second. We don't actually need that for when we're going to render this out, so let's change that to 30 FPS. And you can see DAZ knows it recomputes the number of keyframes. But if I start dragging this, you can see we're getting some animation there. And it turns out the way this is actually recorded, I should go around 180 degrees here, because she's going to turn around the moment I start playing. And I think I probably have a fast enough video board here and CPU that I can just click play, and this will go through fairly cleanly. I may miss a few frames, but that's not because the frames are actually missing. It's because of just the speed at which DAZ can do real-time playback. So this is what the animation looks like. And you can see I've chosen one, of course, that is reasonably clean. It doesn't have a lot of motion capture artifacts in it, but that's looking pretty good. Now, of course, you could put hair, shoes, whatever you want on this character, or you could use Victoria or anything that you want, and you could put her in a backdrop or buildings or whatever you'd like to do. I'm not going to mess around with merging clips or any of that fancy stuff. DAZ Studio is really not a professional animation program and is not really meant to let you do complex animations. However, this tutorial is just to demonstrate you can actually do this with this free